What was the most expensive dress worn by a celebrity ever sold at auction? How about the most valuable chair? Keep watching to learn prices for celebrity memorabilia that might surprise even the most devoted collector. After Prince Charles proposed to Lady Diana Spencer in 1981, he gifted her with a 1981 Ford Escort Gia Saloon. Lady Di used her new ride quite often. Following Princess Diana's death, an antiques dealer scooped up the car. In 2021, they decided to part ways with the vehicle and had it auctioned off at Riemann Dancy Auction House. The car had an asking price between $40,000 to $50,000, but it ended up going for $65,000. The UK collector who put the car up for auction rarely drove it, never disclosed its history, maintained its registration, and preserved its original paint and upholstery. What made the vehicle so unique was the frog that sat on the hood of the car. It was a gift from Princess Diana's sister, Lady Sarah Spencer, to remind her of the fairy tale of a girl whose kiss turns a frog into a prince. However, the frog on the hood of the auctioned Escort was a replica, not the original figure. Audrey Hepburn was a beloved actor who did more than just appear in some of the most memorable films of all time. The My Fair Lady star was also known for her humanitarian work and devoted a lot of her time to UNICEF as a goodwill ambassador. What's more, she was a style icon whose effortless and timeless fashion sense remains as influential as ever. In 2017, Christie's in London auctioned off several items belonging to Hepburn in a collection called Audrey Hepburn, the Personal Collection. As Christie's website recounted, items like her Givenchy couture cocktail dress that she famously wore in Charade went for $91,988, while her painting titled My Garden Flowers was sold for an astounding $300,715. However, the most coveted item at auction was Hepburn's personal script for 1961's Breakfast at Tiffany's, which included her own annotations and deleted scenes. The script sold for a stunning $846,619, an amount that, as the Christie site noted, soars over 7 times the pre-sale estimate. Who paid nearly $1 million for the script? It was fittingly purchased by the famous jewelry company Tiffany & Co. Kim Kardashian and Kanye West clearly have no problem spending money on unique gifts when their kids North, Saint, Psalm, and Chicago's birthdays roll around. When Northwest turned 6 years old, instead of buying her dolls or stuffed animals, Kardashian bought her eldest child not 1, but 2 items worn by the King of Pop at Julian's Auctions Icons and Idols Rock and Roll event in 2019. The Keeping Up with the Kardashian star shared on Instagram that she and West gifted North a custom black velvet jacket that Michael Jackson wore to one of Elizabeth Taylor's birthday parties and to the premiere of his short film Ghosts. The jacket features rhinestone detailing and had been altered to fit North. It was sold to the reality star for $65,625. Kardashian said about the purchase on her Instagram stories, "North is a really big Michael Jackson fan, and we knew she would love this." Kardashian was also the highest bidder for Jackson's white fedora that he wore in his Smooth Criminal music video in 1988. She showed the hat on her Instagram stories and shared that it still had the late King of Pop's makeup on it. Elizabeth Taylor was known for her love of luxurious diamonds and jewels. She had a significant jewelry collection that was later put up for auction at Christie's New York in 2011. 80 items were auctioned off, with the entire collection estimated to raise about $20 million. The collection featured some of her most coveted items, including her famous 33.19-carat diamond ring, given to her by Richard Burton, and a 16th century pearl necklace. The collection ended up smashing the estimates when it raked in $116 million. Taylor married a total of 8 times, and 2 of those marriages happened to be to Richard Burton, a fellow actor who showered her with awe-inspiring gifts, including the historic pearl. It was reported by Christie's that the pearl was once owned by multiple Spanish kings and Joseph Bonaparte, the older brother of Napoleon Bonaparte. With the help of Cartier, Taylor had a necklace crafted which included rubies and diamonds. The pearl was the centerpiece of the jewelry and was estimated to sell at auction for $2 to $3 million. It went on to reach a sale price of $11.8 million and surpassed the previous auction record for a pearl. As for Taylor's stunning diamond ring, it was originally estimated to go for $2.5 to $3.5 million, but ultimately sold for $8.8 million. Judy Garland had a long and impressive acting career, but no role was greater and more memorable then Dorothy Gale in 1939's The Wizard of Oz. Several items from the iconic film have sold at auction, including jackets worn by the Munchkins, an Emerald City Honor Guard trumpet musket, and Dorothy's gingham pinafore dress. However, no one item from the classic film has ever sold for as high a price as Dorothy's ruby red slippers. Garland slippers sold at Christie's New York auction in 2000 for $666,000, becoming the most expensive shoes from a movie sold at auction.
Tap your heels together 3 times and think to yourself, there's no place like home.
There are only 4 known pairs of ruby slippers still around. A costumer happened to find all 4, including one that was used only in screen tests. It was sold to the late actress Debbie Reynolds for $300. In 2005, a pair was stolen from the Judy Garland Museum in Grand Rapids, Minnesota. But after 13 years, the shoes were recovered by the FBI's Minnesota field office. Hundreds of items belonging to iconic actor Marilyn Monroe have been sold over the years. In fact, a bulk of her possessions from her estate were auctioned off at Christie's in 1999 at an event called the Sale of the Century. Monroe's furs, furniture, makeup, and more brought in around $13 million. The crown jewel of the event was not a piece of jewelry. It was the glimmering dress that she wore while singing Happy Birthday to former President John F. Kennedy in 1962 that sold for nearly $1.3 million. At the time, it was the most expensive dress to ever be auctioned, and it was later sold again in 2016 at Julien's auctions for $4.8 million. The buyer was actually Ripley's Believe It or Not, and the company put the garment on display for a limited time. After winning the dress, Ripley's Vice President of Exhibits and Archives, Edward Meyer, shared with the Press Association, "We believe this is the most iconic piece of pop culture that there is. In the 20th century, I cannot think of one single item that tells the story of the 1960s as well as this dress. It's a new world record for a dress." When Rose DeWitt Bukater and Jack Dawson, portrayed by Kate Winslet and Leonardo DiCaprio respectively, appeared on screen together in director James Cameron's 1997 hit movie Titanic, the 2 actors became overnight Hollywood stars. In addition to catapulting Winslet's career, Titanic became one of the highest-grossing movies ever, bringing in a lifetime gross of over $2 billion, right behind Avengers Endgame and Cameron's Avatar. The movie is beloved by so many people, so it's no surprise that when memorabilia from the film was put up for auction, several of its items ended up going for a hefty sum. The iconic red dress Rose wore when meeting Jack for the first time sold for $330,000 when auctioned off in California. In 2016, Winslet's pink dress coat, which she wore while the ship was sinking, sold for $164,520 at a first-ever Titanic auction at Nate D. Sanders Auctions. Along with her dress coat, Jack's wardrobe, which consisted of a long-sleeve shirt and corduroy pants, was also up for auction and was scooped up for $23,116.
I'm the king of the world!
Elvis Presley was the king of rock and roll whose signature dance moves, sound, and style were unlike any other. After Elvis died in 1977, several of his personal belongings were sold at auction. From signed records to jewelry and clothing items he wore and a portable television from his limo, people have been willing to spend thousands of dollars just to own something from the legendary star. In 2012, Presley's very own Bible, which was given to him by his aunt and uncle, sold at the Omega auctions in Stockport in England for $94,000. Needless to say, it's a one-of-a-kind artifact. Presley used the book throughout his life and wrote down his thoughts in its pages. But let's not forget about the King's 24-karat gold leaf piano that, after going for $600,000 in 2015, set a new record for Elvis memorabilia at auction. The bidder was none other than the Hard Rock Hotel and Casino in Tampa, Florida. As the CEO said in a press release, Hard Rock has been curating its priceless music memorabilia collection and sharing with guests around the world for more than 43 years. And Elvis's piano is an important piece of music history that we can't wait to share with our guests. There are a lot of iconic costume pieces from the Star Wars franchise, but it would be hard to argue any piece is more iconic than Darth Vader's helmet. Unsurprisingly, the helmet brought in a ton of money at an auction. An anonymous buyer forked over around $1 million to own the exact Darth Vader helmet worn by the late David Prowse. In Star Wars Episode 5, The Empire Strikes Back, Prowse sported the piece of headgear when he uttered the line,
"The Force is with you, young Skywalker."
But you are not a Jedi yet.
The auction was run by Profiles in History in Los Angeles in 2019. The auction house noted that it's considered the holy grail of science fiction artifacts and was estimated to sell for $250,000 to $450,000. Clearly, it was a coveted piece that went for way more than the asking price. At the same auction, Darth Vader's shoulder gear also sold for close to $700,000. Any item that once belonged to a member of the Beatles could be considered priceless, but a number was put on a drum kit that Ringo Starr used with the band for over 200 performances from 1963 to 1964. The Ludwig Oyster Black 3-piece drum kit Starr used to record the songs Can't Buy Me Love, I Want to Hold Your Hand, and several more of the Beatles' top hits sold at Julien's auction in 2015 for a staggering $2.1 million. The lucky buyer of the drum kit was Indianapolis Colts owner Jim Irsay, who is a big fan of collecting rock and roll memorabilia. Irsay has also purchased at auction Bob Dylan's 1965 Newport Folk Festival guitar, John Lennon's 1966 paperback writer Gretsch guitar, and Les Paul's Black Beauty. In addition to his drum set, the Beatles drummer auctioned off his copy of the White Album, which was stamped 000001 and set an anonymous buyer back $790,000. The sale featured over 800 items belonging to Starr and his wife Barbara Bach and netted nearly $10 million. When author J.K. Rowling released her Harry Potter series, a devoted fan base formed, and wannabe witches and wizards wanted to get their hands on anything that had to do with the wizarding world. One artifact that played a major role in the creation of the series sold for serious galleons several times. Rowling gave the chair she sat in when she wrote Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone and Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets to an auction that benefited the National Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Children in 2002. It went for $21,000. The chair sold at auction again in 2009 for nearly $30,000 to an individual who bid on it after his daughter, a fan of Harry Potter, discovered it on eBay. It sold once more at an auction in 2016 for just under $400,000, with the seller intending to donate 10% to Rowling's charity, Loomis. On top of being a chair that Rowling sat in, it also happens to be something she customized. The writer painted phrases like, "I wrote Harry Potter while sitting on this chair," on the piece of furniture. She also included a letter that reads, "My nostalgic side is quite sad to see it go, but my back isn't." Check out one of our newest videos right here. Plus, even more Nicki Swift videos about your favorite celebrities are coming soon. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell so you don't miss a single one.